How did I become a huge Star Trek fan? I was about 8 going on 9 that year, and the year before I had seen Star Wars for the first time. My grandma showed me The Empire Strikes Back, and so I was totally like into spaceships and science fiction like for the first time, and I was like really excited about it. And one day she was babysitting for us, and she was flipping channels on the bedroom TV, and she flips right past the space battle, and I was like, go back, wait, what was that? And she turned back, and we watched a few minutes of the space battle, and it looked really cool, but wasn't Star Wars. It was something totally different. Spaceships didn't look the same. Everything was completely different. And it was a show called Star Trek The Next Generation. So at the time, every Saturday night, they would show brand new episodes of Star Trek TNG at 7 p.m. And they'd show original series episodes at 11 o'clock. All on WKBD Fox 50 in Detroit. And since it wasn't a school night, I could totally stay up and watch all of it. So the next weekend, when we were back at home, I set up my VCR and put in a blank tape, and I totally recorded on VHS the first episodes of Star Trek that I've ever watched. The TNG episode was The Game, the 5th season episode where Wesley comes back to the Enterprise and has to help get the crew unhooked from that crazy disc and cone game that Riker brought back from Risa, and also featured Ashley Judd guest starring as Ensign Robin Leffler. The TOS episode I saw was the Enterprise incident, the 3rd season episode where Kirk and Spock are leading this secret spy mission to steal a Romulan cloaking device. It was all downhill from there, seriously. I was hooked on the franchise from minute one. And what really made it crazy was this was all happening in the fall of 91, which sadly was around the time of Gene Roddenberry's passing. And in fact, I remember when Unification aired, the 2-parter with Spock in TNG, they had the dedication to Gene Roddenberry before each of the episodes. But what was even crazier was that this was around the time that Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country was going to come out in theaters, and so there were commercials and TV spots everywhere, and it was completely unavoidable, and it just seemed like the perfect time. The universe was telling me to become a fan of this franchise. The next couple of years I was really easy to buy Christmas and birthday presents for. I had the Playmate ships with the sound effects, I had an Erector set of the Enterprise D, I had phasers, I had a tricorder, I had trading cards, action figures. I was the nerdy know-it-all that had 2 copies of the Star Trek Encyclopedia and was picking out every wrong entry, every mistake that was made in it. I had the Star Trek board game, which I never played because nobody could play it with me. I was seriously obsessed, no joke. And it was starting to affect our family summer vacations too. I remember we went to go see my Auntie Judy when she lived out in Washington, D.C., and we had to go to the National Air and Space Museum at the Smithsonian to see the Star Trek exhibit, which at that time was completely brand new, and I about lost my flippin' mind because I'm sitting in the captain's chair, I'm standing on the transporter pads, I'm seeing all the models from the movies and the shows, and it was just utterly mind-blowing at that point. Then there was another year that we went to this theme park called King's Dominion in Virginia, and at that time Paramount owned that theme park, and they had Paramount Parks, and so there was Star Trek themed stuff there, and there were cast members walking around in costume, and I totally got to talk to them, and I got a red TNG shirt and a knockoff pair of visors, a visor, and it was the greatest thing in the world. WKBD Fox 50 in Detroit eventually became UPN 50, so that was the one channel that I watched more than any other channel on the planet, because they'd show new episodes of DS9, they'd show new episodes of Voyager, and they would run reruns of TNG 5 days a week, at 11 o'clock at night. When the Sci-Fi Channel started airing the unedited episodes of the original series in the late 90s, I totally recorded all of them on 12 VHS tapes. I got a label maker, and I labeled all the tapes, and I had an episode list on the back of each tape case. I had it so meticulously organized as to what it was and what season it was and where it fell in the episode list. It was so insane. Star Trek is my number 1 favorite franchise of all time, and it's not even close. And I seriously love all of it. All the older shows, the older movies, the TNG movies, the Kelvin timeline, and of course, the new stuff on Paramount Plus. I don't have any issues with any of it. It's all amazing to me, and I love every last bit of it. To say that Star Trek has had a massive impact on my life and on my eternal optimism for the fate of humanity would be a grave understatement. I literally don't know what I would be doing in life right now if there was no Star Trek, and I am eternally grateful that I don't have to know, because Star Trek is, subjectively speaking, the greatest franchise in the world, and it's here to stay. Live long and prosper.